What up, what up, what up? What's happening? Que lo que niente. Welcome to Love, Purpose, and Passports. Hope all is well and all the passport ready, or passport getting ready. For those of you that don't know yet, I am Mr. Pro for you, living in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, with this beautiful wife of mine, Miss Pro for you.
Hola, saludos, and hello.
I love when this beautiful lady is next to me, especially when we about to do a video like this. Miss Pro, they're going to enjoy this video, aren't they?
I think they will. We had a great time putting this together for you.
We did. So you're going to love it. And let me say it like this. We enjoy being able to share the beauty of the island with you and different things about Dominican culture. Well, religion is a big part of Dominican culture that we realize that it hasn't been talked about much. And there are several. Tonight, we're going to talk about Dominican Voodoo. Now, we do not practice Dominican Voodoo or any voodoo, right?
Right.
The thing is, I know what the thumbnail says. I know what the thumbnail's showing, but we're just sharing it as a part of Dominican culture that you may not know about, but you're going to find this very, very interesting. So, Miss Pro, tell us how this thing got started.
Well, we decided to make this video because our culture is made up of a lot of different cultural pieces kind of mixed together. And we thought, we'd start here and give you some of the foundation of some of the things that we are and what we do, and kind of just so you can get to know a little bit more about our culture. When Africans were brought to Hispaniola by the Spanish, they brought with them their culture, their traditions, their spirituality, and many of the things that just made them them, right? At that time, the island was ruled by the Spanish and by the Catholic Church. So for the Africans that were in the island, practicing their spirituality was punishable by death, right? There was some severe consequences for them practicing who they were and bringing back their traditions and doing those things here. So our ancestors did the only thing that they could do, right? They hid their gods and their spirits in plain sight.
So there's a word used to describe the religions that had to hide within another religion, and it's called syncretism.
Yeah.
So you'll see that these religions, such as Dominican Vudú, are referred to as syncretic religions. In the Dominican context, it's the blending of African spiritual traditions with Catholicism.
Yeah.
As Ms. Pro mentioned, it was created when the African slaves were forbidden to practice their religion openly. So by merging their deities with Catholic saints and mixing rituals from both faiths, they preserved their ancestral beliefs, and it was basically hidden under the guise of Christian worship. So syncretism was a form of resistance and cultural survival that allowed African spirituality to live on beneath the surface of colonial Christianity. An example of some of the deities that were syncretized are one called Anaisa, PA, the Ministerio. Did I call it Ministerios?
Yes.
Anaisa, PA, the Misterio or Lua of love and happiness, and she's syncretized with Saint Anne, Mother of Mary.
Another one that's really popular here in the DR is called Beli Belkan. He's Africans call them Loas, but in the DR they're called Misterios, right? So Beli Belkan was a misterio of like justice and protection against, all types of demons, or he was like a warrior spirit. And what they did is they hid him behind Saint Michael, the archangel.
So there's another one that you'll hear mentioned again in this video called Candelo. And he's a warrior and a protective spirit syncretized with St. Charles.
Mm-hmm. There's another popular one that you hear a lot here in the island too, called Metresili. That's the Misterio of love and wealth, and that one is merged with the Lady of Dolores.
So those are just a few that, to give you an example of how they kind of merged them with the Catholic saints, so that it would seem like they were worshiping one when they were really worshiping another one.
Right. So in the eyes of all the Catholic priests, they would see them worshiping these certain saints, and they'd be like, okay, they're doing what they're supposed to do. But in their mind, and everybody else knew what we're really worshiping, we're just kind of doing it to not get killed.
They got to survive.
Right.
Yep.
So this was really fascinating to talk about, because Las 21 Divisiones, or Dominican Vudú, is such a big part of Dominican culture that like now we don't even see it anymore. And I was kind of explaining it to him that sometimes you walk into businesses or establishments and some things will be going on, but because you see it so much, you don't even know what you're looking at. It's just like a regular everyday thing. Like, okay, I'll give you an example, right? Let's say you walk into a business, and when you walk into a business, on the top of a door, you might see like a little aloe plant hanging over it, right? That aloe plant is like you're asking for prosperity. It's like you're asking for good luck, and that's part of one of the things that they do in the 21 Divisiones. But we don't know. We just walk in and we think an aloe plant is a cute little decoration that everybody has in their house. You don't even know what you're looking at anymore.
So Dominican Vudú, or Voodoo Dominicano, is also known as Las 21 Divisiones, the 21 divisions. It's a spiritual system that focuses on connecting what they call Los Misterios, or deities that are believed to govern the forces of the universe. From what I see, you can consider Dominican Vudú or the 21 divisions a monotheistic religion, because they do believe in one God. From what I saw, if there's something different, drop it in the comment section, and because we're not experts, but I believe it to be a monotheistic religion from what I read.
And even though it's called Las 21 Divisiones, that doesn't mean that there's actually 21 divisions. The 21 that they refer to there is like a sacred, symbolic number. I think it represents like full spirituality, or coming full circle, spiritual universe. Not exactly sure how to describe it, but it's a unified universe thing, right? Now, within Las 21 Divisiones, there are three major divisions. This is actually pretty cool when I learned it. There's La División India, right? Which is the division that comes from the Taíno Indians, right? There's La División Negra, which comes from Africa and African spirituality. And there's La División Blanca, which comes from white spirituality, Europe, right? So it's Europe. So it's Taíno, black and white, which is actually really interesting, because that's our makeup, right? That's our DNA, Taíno, black and white. So, it's really interesting how that religion kind of holistically represents the DR's makeup anyway.
The Dominican people, it does.
It's pretty fascinating.
Yep.
Yeah. So here's actually another one that is like not obvious at all. So coffee, right? Coffee is a huge part of our culture. You go to somebody's house, they give you a little bit of coffee, they offer you coffee, you sip coffee in the morning, everybody's drinking coffee. After lunch, coffee. So you go into somebody's house and you might see a little coffee cup that's not fully, they didn't finish drinking it. And the same thing like with the water, they left it on the shelf or something, and it might look like it's misplaced, right? Turns out it's not misplaced. That's actually a way to like greet a spirit. That's like a way to tell a spirit, bienvenido, welcome to my home. I'm so happy you're here. That's like a friendly way of inviting like one of those loving, peaceful spirits, like, welcome to my home. Thank you for being here. That's a way of them showing like bienvenido.
When she told me about that, I thought about my little, half a cup of coffee that sits on the table all day that I sip on. while I'm doing stuff, I said, man, I did not know I was practicing and greeting. I'm gonna have to
inviting
keep that
them. So la división India, right? That's the Taíno or the Indian división. Those are the spirits of the island's indigenous ancestors, right? They're specifically referring to the Taíno people, which are the original inhabitants of the island of Hispaniola. They embody the connection of the land, of the water, nature. It's supposed to refer to ancestral wisdom, right? That división focuses on healing. It focuses on protection, spiritual guidance, and all those things are done through the natural elements, right? Some of the colors that you'll see that represent that división, right? Because I think they all have like their own individual colors. Some of the colors that represents that división will be green, brown, blue, and turquoise, right?
Interesting.
It is interesting. Some of the misterios, right, that you actually might see, because some of the misterios are represented by like statues. So you might be running around somewhere and you'll see a statue. There's a statue of a cacique. His name is Guarionex. Cacique is like a chief, like an Indian chief. So if you go somewhere and you happen to see an Indian chief, that's a representative of Taíno chief's spirit. And he's like for protection and justice and courage. And he represents like this warrior spirit. And when they're invoking him, right? Mm-hmm. When they're invoking him, they invoke him for like guidance and leadership, and like they need balance between like life and nature and stuff like that. But very, very, very interesting. Very interesting.
Is. You know what I was thinking? I wonder if the turquoise represents Larimar. Since they're the natural
when I read that, I thought about it, but Larimar is a little lighter than turquoise, no?
I mean,
I thought
the name
about
of the
it.
colors. I mean, that might
maybe
just be what
it
they
might
called it.
It might be.
It's interesting, huh?
Larimar is actually my favorite stone. Larimar and amber are like my two favorite stones, but Larimar goes first. So it would be interesting to know.
Yeah, it would be. So another one of the divisiones or the divisions is División Negra, or the Black Division. So they say these spirits are rooted in Central and West African traditions. And they're described as powerful, protective, and sometimes stern. So I guess, they don't play, and they're working more like in the deeper, more intense spiritual realms. Okay. So they're often invoked for cleansing, defense, breaking witchcraft, and justice. Right? Okay. So, these Misterios, forgive me for saying Ministerios, they're not that. Misterios. These Misterios, they're not evil. They deal with heavy, hidden, and transformative forces of the spiritual world. So what's interesting about that is, what I was thinking about when it said that they kind of are invoked for breaking witchcraft was, I thought voodoo was considered witchcraft, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. And the short answer is no. What I saw was Dominican Vudú is a religion that's built on worship, prayer, offerings, and moral balance, codes of conduct, while witchcraft is not a religion, but a set of magical practices, a system of manipulating energies, objects, or spirits for specific outcomes. You might have heard of some of these outcomes: love spells, revenge, illness, etc. But it did say that witchcraft can exist inside or outside of Dominican Vudú, because some people mix them, but it says that they're not the same thing.
Right.
And their colors, as far as colors go, their colors are red, black, and dark green.
Now, that was a very interesting thing that you just said, because growing up in the island, you always kind of hear about these things, or you see little things here and there, because it's so a part of the culture that you kind of see it, but you don't really know what you're seeing, but you see it all the time, so it's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. But you grow up thinking that it's all the same thing.
Right.
You really don't understand that there's like a difference. Like, this was very interesting for me to do. I learned a lot. I was like, oh, really?
Yeah, this research showed us a lot. Yeah,
I had no idea. You know,
I had no idea.
No, we're Christian. We don't know anything about that, but it was very fascinating and interesting just to see some of the differences in the practices and stuff.
Right, right. So one of the examples of their Misterio, which we mentioned earlier, is Papa Candelo. So he's known as a protector and a warrior spirit, known for strength, courage, and justice.
I was telling him that Papa Candelo shows up in like all of the songs. Like every time you hear a song, every time you hear a song and you hear like the drums play, somebody in the background is always like calling his name out. So you really don't know what's going on, but you kind of like know the name. And I was like, oh, I know that one. He was like, you do? What do you know about it? I was like, I don't know. He's musically inclined. It comes out in all the songs. He was like, he does? I'm like, yeah. So it was really funny when he mentioned that, because as we're reading through the things, I was like, I kind of know that name. I don't know what it means, but I heard it before in like this Cuban song, or I heard it in this song. So it was real interesting when we were doing this together, because a lot of things popped up. Here's actually another one that's pretty common. So like you go into a business or like a salon or colmado or something, and a candle will be burning. And some of these candles have like this lovely smell to it, those scented candles. So you think you're going into an establishment and, you're going into a salon and they have like this spa treatment thing with the smell or whatever, but it actually turns out that those distinctive smells, or maybe the different colors that are in the candles, or where the candles are located in the house, that's a way for them to like ask the spirits to bring them good fortune, to bring them luck in the business. If they're entrepreneurs, we want our business to succeed. So that's kind of a way of them doing that. But you look at it and you're like, oh, candle, pretty candle, smells nice.
It smells nice, and it's just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just such a part of our life that like we do things and we don't even know why we're doing it.
Right.
There's a third división.
There is a third division.
Right? And it is called La División Blanca, or the white division, or the European division, right? Mm-hmm. I had no idea that there was a European división. Fascinating.
Yeah.
So it turns out that these misterios are spirits of light and purity and love and healing, right? Mm-hmm. These are often associated with the Catholic saints, right? And then that's when you see like the blending of the African and the European and the spiritual energies kind of all together. Their work, it's calm, it's uplifting, it's centered on blessings, happiness, family, harmony, the sweeter aspects of life, eh? Mm-hmm. Their colors tend to be white, pink, yellow, and gold. Mm-hmm. The one that you hear a lot about is Anaisa PA. I'm not completely. I get the name wrong every now and then. Mm-hmm. I know the name Anaisa, but then the PA part I didn't know. It
seems like you guys use use the first names, and
right? I didn't know the second of it. Well, she is syncretized with Saint Anne, which is the mother of Mary, right? This is the spirit of love, of joy, of femininity, good fortune. She's supposed to bring happiness, romance, and like a playful, energy into like people's lives. Sometimes you'll go to someone's home, right? And you'll see like a glass of water sitting on a counter or a shelf or something. And you think, oh, this person was drinking a glass of water. They drank half of it and they just happened to leave it sitting on the counter like they forgot about it or something. It just looks like somebody misplaced the cup. But in the 21 divisiones, that's like a way to bring spiritual protection into the household or to the person that's like placing it there. It's a way to like bring peace to the household. But you don't know. It just looks like a regular cup of water.
Right. So one of the main parts of Dominican Vudú, and probably all Voodoo, is the instruments. Mm-hmm. And one of the main instruments in Voodoo, and specifically Dominican Voodoo, is an instruments called the palos drums. Is it palos drums or palo drums? What would you think it is? Palo. So the palo drums. And so there's the palo mayor, which is the largest and deepest drum. And this drum leads the rhythm. And what this drum does is it represents authority and communication with the higher spirits, or Misterios. Then there's the palo segundo, which is the medium-sized drum. And then there's the palo menor, which is the smallest drum. So the rhythm of these drums called the Misterios. Each lua, which is the spirit or Misterio, has its own pattern, its own rhythm pattern. For example, Anaisa has a faster, festive rhythm. Papa Candelo has a strong, masculine, fiery type rhythm. Metrosili has a fluid, graceful rhythm. And the drums are usually blessed before they start because they're used to speak directly to the spirits. What's interesting is each drum may be dedicated to a specific lua or spirit. And if it is, you can't use a drum consecrated for one spirit to call another. That's considered taboo.
That's interesting. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Another interesting thing too is that there are certain specific drums that are only meant to be touched by men. They're only meant to be played by men. They're not even allowed to be touched by women. I think that like if women were to play the drums, it would like be considered like they would desecrate the drum. Oh, yeah, they wouldn't be able to like use them anymore. That's pretty fascinating. I also didn't know that like every Misterio had like their own drum pattern. I'm like, that's why Papa Candelo comes out in all of those songs because he has like the banging drum beats. I'm like, okay. Yeah. So that was pretty interesting.
It is.
Another one is like a broom behind a door, like by a door, right? You think some people actually just do it and don't even realize it anymore. Sometimes we'll be sweeping up the house, and then when we go to put the broom away, we tend to put it behind like a door or something, or hang it on a door and then close the door. We don't know what we're doing. We just do it because we've been doing it forever.
Right.
Well, it turns out that in la 21 Divisiones, pick a language, right? Pick a language. So it turns out that in la 21 Divisiones, that's a way for you to like keep unwanted people out of your house. You don't want them coming in. You don't want them coming in the house.
The door, the front door.
Yeah, well, I don't really know of anybody that puts it behind the front door. It just kind of says a door, but I guess I get it.
Maybe that's why.
Maybe
other people put it behind their room door, like I don't want them coming in here.
Keep people out. Too funny. So there are other musical instruments that are used in la 21 Divisiones that I had no idea that were, were spiritual, that were meant for that. We just kind of see them all over the place. Mm-hmm. So the maracas, or they're also called the cha-cha, right? Mm-hmm. The maracas, they're used by the spiritual leader or the person that's like singing to the Misterios, and they use that to like clean the air, or maybe like to call attention before they invoke like a Misterio, right? It is, and then another instrument that we see here all the time, and we had no idea what it was used for, is a guira, right? Those are the things that it's like a metal thing, and then you kind of scrape it, and it makes
to the beat, scrape it to the beat.
Yeah, that's actually really common in southern Dominican Vudú. O sea, like, how the Dominican is broke up north, south, even what's in the south part of the Dominican Republic. You'll see that mostly used in ceremonies for the 21 Divisiones, like for example, like in Bani or like San Cristobal. Those are the places where you'll see that instrument predominantly used, right? Mm-hmm. They also have the congas. The congas are the traditional drums. The congas are used when the other traditional drums aren't like accessible. And they also use it when they're like blending sounds and styles with like merengue or gaga. I was explaining to him that gaga is mostly used in Haiti. That's their kind of like equivalent to their merengue. Oh, right?
Yeah.
The cowbells.
Yeah. So the cowbells, which you guys know what cowbells are, they represent the voice of the ancestors calling or opening the spiritual gate. And then there's voices, so we know that when you listen to that type of music, or when we've seen the type of rituals, you hear their voices. So that's why that was included in the instruments, because even though it's technically not an instrument, but the way they described it is spiritually essential.
Yeah.
You hear the chants, the voices, that's important to the ritual. Mm-hmm. And traditionally, no electricity or modern amplification is used, it's pure acoustic communication with the invisible world.
Right. One thing that we do when a child is born here, brand new baby, like before the baby is born, they'll already have like a little bracelet for them, and then they'll put the little bracelet on his wrist, and that's supposed to protect them from like mal de ojo, evil eye, right? They're supposed to like protect them from whatever evil spirits or whatever is going on until the baby's baptized. Then once the baby gets baptized, they're able to take like the little bracelet off, and then that's it. The baby's protected. That is not a Catholic tradition. There is no Catholic in the world that says, here, put this on your baby for evil eye. But we've been doing it for so long that, you know, the minute the baby is born or when the baby's in the stomach, everybody's grandmother, aunt, sister, cousin has like a little bit bracelet ready. Yep, the baby's born. Proteo, here, you know. They're ready to make sure that he's good. So we don't know why we're doing it, but we do it. And, you know, we love to do it, and it's been working for a million years.
It's part of the culture, it's part of tradition, and, you know, every day. And so we got love. We got love for the homies that be rolling with us. Shout out to the supporters of the channel.
Shout out!
We got 2 OGs.
2 of them.
The first one.
Who?
International Quiet Storm.
El Señor Quiet Storm Internacional.
Hey! Yes! We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for supporting the channel.
Thank you, sir.
Hey! The next one, clap back.
El Señor.
Clizak, Bizak. We thank you for supporting the channel.
Gracias.
We love you. We appreciate you.
Thank you. You got
the OGs of the LPP fam.
We love you guys. Thank
Once
you.
again, we got love. We got love for the homies that be rolling with us. Back to the video. This was very interesting for both of us. I mean, we keep saying the word interesting because, I mean, there's no other way. Like, you know, you see things, you think you know things, and then when you start doing a little research, you know, asking a few questions, and then you realize like, oh, okay, now I have a better understanding of this. And, you know, the reason we're sharing it with you, first of all, is Dominican culture.
Sure.
We want to share Dominican culture with you. But the thing is, like, let's say you walk in through Zona Colonial and you walk in one of these gift shops and you may see the little statues or you may see something. Now, after looking at the video, you may say, oh, that one has on these certain colors. That's part of one of the divisions.
Now you know.
You know, yeah. Or you may hear some of the music. And like, again, that's very interesting. Like, you know, you hear the pace, you say,
sounded kind of African.
Yeah, that was what it, we know which Mysterio that is. Or, you know, or if you hear a certain instrument, you hear a certain drum, or you hear the cowbell, or you hear these things. Now you like, oh, okay, I get it, because it all means something. And, you know, like I say, for us, you know, this is part of the culture. And so, you know, I would rather know about it and know the right things as opposed to just hearing from other people that don't know what they're talking about or whatever.
Sure.
We have a better understanding about this. And we just wanted to share it with you, and we hope you enjoyed it. What do you think, beautiful lady of mine?
I hope they enjoyed it too. You know, I take pride in my culture a lot. I take pride in my heritage. I take pride in all aspects that is me and that is being Dominican. And I really enjoyed learning about the African cultures and the African traditions that are still around today, that we still see, that we didn't really know where they came from. We just do because we've been doing it forever, you know? So we had a good time doing this together. And I had like a lot of light bulb moments like, oh, that's what that means. Yeah, boy, do you know that? You know, and then I would like let him hear some songs. I'm like, listen. And he's like, oh yeah, cool. I'm like, I know, right? So I had a good time doing this and putting it together for you. And I really hope that you enjoy it. And if you have any more questions about, you know, some of the African cultures and the religions, the Taíno practices and the things that you have, let us know. We're happy to find out for you.
We're happy to find out if we don't already know. And like we always tell you, toward the end, when we should tell you in the middle, like and subscribe. Love, purpose, and passports. Bye. Peace.